All right, guys, it's just after 3 p.m., March 21st, 2025. I think I'm just over 50 hours clean from the OPMS liquid kratom extract shot. At my worst, I've been taking it for 5 years. I think I started sometime in 2018, 2019, something like that. It's got to be 2018. And at my worst, I was doing 3 to 4 of those a night. Very rarely did I don't want to say very rarely, but several times I would do 4 a night, but that was just too much. The feel-good window for me was 3 a day. And apparently, doing some poking around, digging online, reading a lot of the subreddit, the Quitting Kratom subreddit, they say that 1 bottle of the OPMS is about, equivalent to like 14 grams. And whatever, I've stayed away from the 7.0 or 7.0H. Apparently that's even worse. It seemed like it was just yesterday where the Quitting Kratom subreddit, because I've been on there since forever, man, every day, failed quit after failed quit. And only recently have I started seeing mentions of this 7.0 or 7.0H shit, and it sounds nasty. Just when I thought there could be nothing worse than what I'm going through with the OPMS. But anyway, I've uploaded I think 2 videos so far. One on, I think just over 24 hours. And then the second one was just this morning. I couldn't sleep, so I just popped out of bed. It was like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and I shot that video, and I'm like, fuck it. And I was real foggy then, man, if you look back at that video. And anyway, I'm feeling better now, but some things are ramping up a bit as I anticipated. But looking back at those last 2 videos, I didn't really talk too much about how I actually feel. So for those of you that might be going through, your own quitting kratom journey, hold on, let me show you this guy. Look who joined me, the ultimate guard dog. You have anything to say about? You don't take kratom, do you, dude? No, you don't need it. You're just chilling. Life is good for you, man. So yeah, I don't know where I was. So yeah, I was taking 3 of those a day, right? So 14 grams each, you do the math. I would put it at somewhere between 42 grams per day to 56 grams per day. It could vary. And I never missed a day, by the way. For many years, I never missed a day. The only successful quit that I had under my belt, and by the way, it must not have been very successful because here I am 4 years later, but I did quit for 6 months, once cold turkey at my peak usage. Granted, at that time I had only been doing it for, 2.5 years, maybe less at that point, because if I started in 2018, COVID outbreak 2020, beginning of 2020. So in the 6 months preceding the pandemic outbreak, that's when I was totally clean. I had quit stimulants and kratom 3 times a day, OPMS liquid extract shot, never missing a day, never taking capsules. That was the most hellish experience that I could ever envision. And then when the writing was on the wall with the pandemic, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm up to date on current events. That's not what this channel is for. But in the months preceding COVID, you may or may not have heard there was murmurs of something going around, right? There's videos coming out of China. I'm surely not the only one that have seen the infamous Wuhan wiggle videos, but they were scary, right? At the time, the prospect of a pandemic by itself is wild, let alone seeing just horrific footage of people apparently keeling over in city streets because of this virus that is about to hit your country. I couldn't handle the thought of holy shit, man, I could be on the cusp, a month away from many people I care about dying, right? So I remember at that point I just said consciously, fuck it. Literally, I pulled into the gas station, I parked, and I stared at the paneled glass reflecting the sunlight. I could see people meandering about in and out, getting the gas at the end of the workday, ready to get back home, get hyped to do whatever they do after work. And there I was at a crossroads, a fork in the road, and I chose the shittiest path. I convinced myself, yeah, I'm not going to be able to withstand what's coming without being high as shit, essentially. That's basically what I said. I said, the big old virus is coming, time to get high as shit and ride this bad boy out. Guys, let me just give you a piece of advice that just made it worse. If it's a nightmare by itself, don't introduce anything else that would just amplify those feelings. But you see, back then I hadn't realized how bad it had its hooks in me and were amplifying those bad feelings. So anyway, how am I feeling right now? Well, I'm half asleep, and there's that initial excitement at the beginning, and that can propel you. It has for me through the first couple days, maybe only the first few hours for some of you. For others, the first few days are the easiest for some, and it's harder as it gets later down the road. For others, it's the opposite. Guys, I struggle big time with these the first week. I mean, I guess everybody does, but I've seen people really like taking this positive mindset going into it that I just have always been baffled by. How do they get into that mindset, knowing what's coming? And yet here I am, not very far in. I'm 50 hours in, and I gotta be honest, I feel like shit, but like, I feel manageably shitty. And I'm being careful because I know that like, more than likely the worst is to come. For me personally, I've noticed that like days 3 to 5 are particularly nasty. The days after that, when it comes down to like quantifying the specific days, like day 6, day 7, day 8, like it gets to a point where they just all blend together. In fact, I remember when I quit for those 6 months before COVID, by 6 months, I was feeling better than I ever did before I started it, by the way. So there is light on the other side of the tunnel. I'm not trying to scare you or whatever, right? It's totally worth it. That's the feeling I'm holding on to, right? Like right now. And that made a huge difference. But the one thing I was always baffled by was getting into this shit with a positive mindset, man. I could never do it. Shit would break me, right? By day four, I mean, just a few years ago, I couldn't go without a second dose, right? The thought of lunch break without something was like horrific to me. I was like, how am I going to make it through the day? I didn't have the wisdom back then to be like, hey, bro, maybe you just hate your job and, you know what I'm saying? Get another job. It's not that serious. But, I got the whole weight of the world on my shoulders. I'm trying to perform well, live up to my own expectations, which aren't even really that unrealistic, by the way. So I wanted to stick it out, turn it around, coast, and then quit while I'm coasting there, right? But the control never came. I never got back control. I lost my jobs because of it, in fact. Not directly, but pretty much directly. Because it just snowballed to the point where I couldn't do anything at all, Anyway, I'm getting off the point of these, the point of this video. Like, I'm going to be scattered, like I said. This is not how I usually am. I'm like borderline manic because it's like I have energy, I'm hyping myself up for this, trying to get into that positive mindset, it's kind of working. So anyway, how do I feel right now? I'm getting heat waves, flashes of like just heat, and they emanate from my lower back, like right above my butt essentially, and they reverberate upward and outward to, like here, and they go up my shoulders. I got them real bad last night. They come in waves. I got them real bad last night. I noticed that I get them more when I'm sitting down at the computer, when I get particularly like focused on something on the screen. Like I get a flash of heat. I'd be very curious to see if you guys experience that. I'd love to hear from you. If anybody watching out there, I'm mostly talking into the void right now, but if there is somebody listening, I'd be curious to see if you have experienced that or just what you're going through. But yeah, man, these heat waves, right now I'm not getting them. But I do feel like just a consistent chill. Like every room I go into, I don't know what the temperature is, but it just feels cold. It just feels cold on my skin. It's that constant, the way to put it is like that constant feeling of like, I didn't dress warm enough for the day, but like I can survive. Does that make sense? You didn't put on that one extra layer that would have made your day comfortable, and you get to feel the nip of the cold, but like you're not shivering. Okay, it's like that. I haven't had like actual sweats. So far, my previous quit lasted 4 days, almost 5. And I don't sweat a lot this time. The first time I quit pre-COVID for those 6 months, when I was at 3 a day and it was cold turkey, just that and stimulant, I was sweating, I was falling asleep in the bathtub. I was taking, guys, like 5 to 6 showers a day, to the point where like the constant moisture on the ceiling of my bath, it fucked up the oh God, man. And just like, it felt like just the thick hazy, muggy air was just hanging there constantly because I was constantly back and forth. And yet what I noticed with this quit is like, I'm not doing that as much. I do have to jump into the shower here and there just to like break through the cold, the chills, those heat waves. Like they do get bad enough sometimes where I'm like, oh God, I just can't take it. It's this weird fatiguing feeling. That's the thing. The sensation themselves, isolated in a vacuum, are not horrific. It's the marathon aspect of it. It's feeling it in waves constantly, if that makes sense. Well, that's a contradiction. In waves constantly. Well, yeah, I guess like consistent waves throughout the day. Right now, I don't feel them, but they could come back at any time. I feel anxious. I get this weird feeling where I have this like extreme, I can't think of words. I can't pull words out of the word bank. That's another weird thing with Kratom and shit. I just can't. My memory's terrible. I can barely string sentences together. Like I used to have a really good I'm a writer, not like publish or anything, right? I just write a lot. I write documentaries. I write scripts. I journal. But like I just suddenly one day found myself unable to string shit together like nearly as fast as I could. And I thought that was like rather strange. Even now I'm losing track of where I was just going. Had something to do with how I was feeling now, like right now in the moment. Chills, sweats. I sweat last time, but not this time. Weird wiry anxiety. Hold on, I gotta pause this. Let me get back on track. My bad. All right, fuck it. I'll just say this. Probably the feeling that I hate the most is the chill. Oh yeah, it was coming in waves. It comes in waves all day. And the waves last for minutes and minutes, right? Could be like, I don't actually know, I've never timed them, but like they seem to last forever and then they go away. But when they go away, you don't notice they go away because you still feel jittery, wiry. Like you've got this nervous energy like emanating out from you. The way I describe it is like this nervous energy was like injected into my like bone marrow. Like it's coursing through me, but like emanating from the chest area and like just tingling through my arms, tingling through my legs, right? And then it subsides a little bit. Like right now, I don't feel that. All I feel right now is like the little nippy cold where I'm fully layered. I got a thick hoodie on and then another hoodie, zip up hoodie here, but I still feel a little chilly. Like I need a blanket, but if I put a blanket on, it's not gonna help. And then when I start to overheat because I'm overcompensating, it triggers the heat flashes throughout my body. So it's very strange. My temp regulation is all fucked up. Hot showers fix that. So I would advise for those of you struggling with sleep, take a hot shower before that. People swear by both saunas, cold plunges, ice baths, ice shower. I haven't done it. I'm kind of a pussy when it comes to that. Sometimes though, after a hot shower, like you've probably seen people do it, maybe you do it yourself, but dedicating the last 30 seconds to a minute, just turning the water on ice cold after you just took a few minutes of a hot shower. That gives you a little boost, you know what I mean? But apparently jumping into like a cold bath, an ice bath, ideally, flushes you with those good juices and apparently lasts quite long. So anyway, the bath is your friend. Shower is your friend. It alleviates the anxiety and the stress. There'll always be like an elevated baseline of anxiety, at least for me. But the severity in which it manifests is neutralized temporarily by cold showers, hot showers, baths, and so on. But a new phenomenon, a new symptom that I've noticed that I don't recall getting during previous quits is this like extreme like revulsion of being around people, being extremely nervous around people. Like I was walking on this trail the other day, right? It's just a straightaway and everybody takes their dogs on there. It's not super busy, but you see lots of people and they're just doing their own thing. They're running, they're riding bikes, they're walking their dog, they're walking home from class, whatever it is. And like, it's one of those where you don't have to look at them, you don't have to smile at them, whatever. They're just doing your own thing. These are thoughts that I don't normally have. And yet I see them coming and I'm like, my anxiety grows. I start to think like, fuck. But why? I don't know that person. You don't know me. He probably didn't even notice that I passed him. He's out of breath, sweating his balls off. He probably is just like in the midst of like a 5 mile. You think he cares about me? It's not that like my mind is thinking, oh, he's going to notice how bad of shape I'm in. He's going to know I'm withdrawing. Nothing like that. It's just the feeling of anxiety and fear is injected into me, with that stimuli being the trigger, right? So that's like relatively constant. Overall tenseness, I feel tense. I hunch my shoulders, and I slouch like when I walk. It's like I'm bracing. I found myself sometimes when I zone into reading something on the computer, especially in my armchair, I'll snap back to it, right? And notice that I'm literally like white knuckling the armchair, almost as if I'm on a roller coaster. But I'm not. I'm sitting still in my well-heated bedroom in a relatively comfortable computer chair, looking at a nice curved PC screen. And yet I'm like holding on for dear life. It's this weird bombardment of very tense feeling. I call it the tightness. I don't know why. It feels like my skin is tight. It feels like someone took my skin on my face and like just pulls it back. Like, you know what I mean? And just keeps it there, right? Mentally, I envision, like, have you guys ever seen the videos of like astronaut training where they make them pull a couple G's, 2 G's, 8 G's, 10 G's, and and they're in that little like simulation cockpit chamber, and they just go, and they like brace up, and it would be like what it would feel like in a space shuttle going to space, or a fighter jet pulling 1 billion Machs, breaking the sound barrier, doing fucking barrel rolls. It feels like that. Like I'm sitting here like, fuck. But there's nothing wrong. I'm all alone. Except for my cat. Hold on. All right, recon sentry cat reporting back in. Safe and sound. I'll have to get the sit rep from him in a moment. Perimeter secure. Thank you, buddy. Just nonstop tightness. I feel tight. Like Tuco Salamanca. I'm sitting here just fucking... And then the anhedonia starts to kick in. The inability to feel real joy, happiness, contentedness, right? Like you're doing things you enjoy, but you're not like feeling good about it. You're just there. Like I don't want to read a book. Like I have books in front of me, right? Like I don't want to read them. I have a show I'd like to finish. I've been watching that show on Hulu called Paradise. I thought it was pretty cool concept. But it's like, I loved it, actually. It's one of the better shows I've watched, surprisingly, because I chose it totally out of the blue. I hadn't heard anything about it at all. I was just bored one day before my quit. And it's just like, I don't even want to do the minimal effort it takes to walk over there and turn on the... Because it's like, what's that going to do for me? So I'm trying to busy my mind. And that's the real issue with like the latter half of day 2 going into day 3 for me. Anticipatory excitement for my quit starts to fade. The energy gradually decreases as the acute withdrawals ramps up, and you just get tired of the marathon, man. The beginning of the marathon is always easy, but when you get to mile 3, mile 4, mile 5, it just gets like, you're just tired of it. The feelings themselves in a vacuum isolated, if you were to describe them, it's not like you're being burned alive. Right? Don't get me wrong, they're bad. But like, at least for me, I think about it and I sit in them, I'm like, they're just shivers, technically, you know? Yes, they're annoying, but they're just shivers. I mean, I felt awful with the flu, right? It's not some existential bullshit when I get the flu. I got the flu. This is different because, you know, I caused this, but nonetheless, you get what I'm saying? It's like, just, I don't know. It just fucks with me. And then I see like the long road ahead, right? The days themselves are long. I'm isolated. I can't do anything. I have no funds set up purposely. I have no access to cash. So like I can't even get gas. Driving helps me a shit. I'll just go for long drives, but I can't do that. I don't have gas and I don't get paid for a little bit. And I'll have trusted individuals like dispense that cash when I do get paid so I can actually get gas. Like, you know, and I'll go so far, by the way, as to actually make them like take the car ride to the gas station with me to make sure that like I only pump gas, you know? I'm at that point. And I've done things like that before. Given my wallet to people, gotten rid of like Apple Pay and like Venmo and shit. I have nothing, right? In the best way possible. There is no way out of this other than forward. I feel like shit, but I could feel a lot worse. You know what feels a lot worse? Is going down to the gas station, buying one right now, going further into a negative bank account balance, feeling that initial warmth and, oh wow, yeah, this is why I take it, followed by like 20 minutes later, by the shitty sense of like, it's not even that good. It's not even that worth it, and it didn't even alleviate that much at all. You know, when you're this far in, not far at all, 50 some hours, you know, but that's still enough time where like you take a good hefty dose and like it doesn't cut through all the withdrawals, guys. If I were to get one single OPMS bottle right now and ingest it, yes, I'd feel good, I'd feel way better, right? But it wouldn't cut through all the withdrawals that I'm feeling, right? It wouldn't do it. So then you have the inevitable letdown of like, you got just enough of a good feeling to want to go back tomorrow to do it again, to avoid the shitty feelings, but not enough of a shitty feeling to like compel you to say, fuck it, I gotta stick with my quit. That's why for me, if I take so much as one fucking dose in this time period, guys, I'm done. You might as well bury me. Fuck it, give me the shovel. I'll bury myself. Because it starts another spiral. Weeks of doing it back at my normal dose, maybe a little bit less, followed by another quit. All of which is spent in some moderate degree of withdrawals, interdose withdrawals. That's hell. This, right now, hot flashes and goosebumps for a period of a week. Fuck it. 14 days at max, let's say, right? It varies. I know for a fact if I relapse, my hell will be far longer than 14 days. The hell, I swear, up and down is the one I'm in right now. This is surely worse. This feels so bad. That'll fix it all. No, it fucking won't. It'll make it 100 times worse. You know? It's barely a short-term gain. You barely stave anything off. Just sit with the withdrawals. So yeah, anyway, crawling skin, heat flashes emanating from like the lower back, extreme restless legs. I get the insomnia bad. I didn't sleep at all last night. Just wanting to move my legs constantly. I even, for the first time, started to get restless legs like a little bit during the day. Like when I sit sometimes, like the other day, I found myself getting like more antsy than I do. Like I'm always comfortable sitting. It's nighttime restless legs that I get bad, right? To avoid that, do not take melatonin, do not take any antihistamines. Alcohol, I think, also might have a role in, I could be wrong about that, fact check me. But generally, like alcohol, like you'll probably feel amplified acutes the next day. That's how it is for me. That's a trade-off that you'll have to question yourself. If I'm in mental torment, bordering on relapse, I'll definitely pour a moderate glass of like vodka to stave off the mental torment at the expense of like feeling hot flashes a little bit longer the next day. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if that's what saves me, since I'm not a drinker, I'm not an alcoholic, I have no problem with it, then I'll do that. But like, I'm just trying to remind myself, like relapsing is gonna be 10 times longer being in hell than just like biting the bullet and quitting now. Feeling like shit. But how much of it is actually shit and just like built up in my mind? There's definitely a lot of shit, feeling like it at least, but there's a lot built up in my mind. A lot of it's probably subconscious. You know, I've been so scared of this moment, and now that I'm here, like it's very strange. It's like you don't know what's coming next. Like, am I going to be writhing in the corner tomorrow? I have another night ahead of me. The prospect of staring at the ceiling, trying to fill an entire night with shit when you're already sleep deprived, like it's daunting, right? But again, own it. I'm going to own it. I expect that to happen. I've got books. I've got shows. I've got VR to fuck with. Like I'm not going to derive joy from those things necessarily, especially the more I lack sleep. But if I stay hydrated, if I stay eating food, got my fucking smoothies, you know what I mean? Treadmill, exerting my body even minimally, at least more than before. Like, I think I stand a chance at staving off the worst of it. Just own it. Sit with it. And just know that, like, I don't know, it's going to be shorter in total duration of suffering. The quit process, I mean, is a shorter duration of suffering than the cycle that you, if you are a quitter watching this, are currently in. I could promise you that. Cold turkey might not be the best idea for you. If you have the discipline, I would advise tapering. But regardless, the day comes for both of those categories of kratom addicts where you just have to finally make the jump, whether it's at your height, your peak dosage, or whether it's after 1 month of tapering, 1 year of tapering even. With mathematical precision, maybe you're that type. If so, I'm a little envious of you. For me, there's no other way out than through fucking hellfire.